Texas for the opening of Fred's Cafe, and these good folks have something to say.
GMT starts now!
Live, this is Good Morning Texas.
Good morning, Texas. Happy Thursday, you guys, or Baby Friday, I like to call it. I'm Erin Hunter. Thanks so much for hanging out with us this morning. We have got a jam-packed, fun-filled show for you today, so let's talk about it. What's coming up? Well, first, we're introducing you to a world champion calf roper, Shad Mayfield, in honor of Black History Month. The American Rodeo is coming up very quickly. We're going to talk about some moments just like this, but also what fans can expect. You guys know me. You know I'm a rodeo fanatic, so I've got questions. Plus, in today's Love Works, one couple shares their whirlwind New York love story that all ties back to their lucky number 23. If you've ever heard of Elong 23, this right here, those are the owners, and we're going to get to talk to them about their love. And we chat with one Texas filmmaker about her new movie that explores ancestral land, generational trauma, and racial injustice through horror. So don't touch that remote. So many good things coming up today. Let's get into it. But first, let's bop over to the Weather Center, see what's going on outside. Greg Fields, hello.
Hello there, Erin. Good morning, everyone. Well, we are dealing with some fog out there in some areas here across North Texas this morning. That's spread a little bit more across the Metroplex as well over the past hour or so. As we take you on out to the UNT campus right now, 55 degrees. You can see the low clouds, the fog. That's kind of settled in there here this morning. And as we come back to a DBU, getting into the southern part of Dallas County there, 59 we're looking at. Fog actually has lifted some here, so it looks a little bit better than it did last hour. But we'll still have that fog around for a little while longer. And you can see it has drifted a little farther north and west out at DFW down to under a half mile with that visibility now. That is the case heading out to Denton as well, but it has gotten a little bit better in Dallas over to Grand Prairie down to 4 miles and 1 mile visibility heading over to Fort Worth as we head down I-35. That's where it has been a little bit thicker with that fog. Visibility improving in Waxahachie now, but still only a half mile as we get out to Hillsboro here this morning. So just be aware of this over the next couple of hours. We'll look at those temperatures in the mid and upper 50s, back into the low 60s coming over to Dallas. In fact, upper 60s a little farther south. So already starting to warm up despite that front working its way through overnight heading into the early part of this morning. Going to have those north winds through the day. Once the fog lifts, we're going to be warming up, though. Upper 70s, low 80s we're looking at today. So it is going to be quite warm, well above that normal high of 63. Now, we're going to keep those warm temperatures, very warm temperatures, sticking around through the weekend. As you see, we'll be in the low and mid 80s. But the temperatures cool off as we get into early next week. We'll have some rain chances to talk about as well. So it does look like we'll settle into a little bit of an unsettled weather pattern as we head into next week with rain chances. So we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show. But now, Erin, back to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Greg, for keeping us up to date. Texas rodeo fans know the name. Shad Mayfield, the two-time world champion, won't be competing at the American this year as he recovers from surgery, but he's still helping bring the excitement to Globe Life Field in May. Shad Money Mayfield joins me now with so much more on his success and who to watch in this year's competition. Good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
So glad to have you. So first, I have to ask, why are you known as Shad Money Mayfield? Where did that nickname come from?
Hey, it all comes from this rodeo right here. I remember in 2020, I was 19 years old and I got the win at the rodeo, and I was a qualifier that year, so I got the chance to compete for the $1 million purse, and I got to split that, and I was 19 years old and had $600,000 in my hand, so it was Shad Money Mayfield at that point.
What did that feel like to be so young and be like, oh my gosh, what do I do with this chunk of money that I just got?
Yeah, you know, I wish I could go back because it goes like that, but you know, it was awesome. You know, I came from nothing, so to have that amount of money in my hands, you know, it really set me up and set up my career, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for that win and that rodeo.
Plus, rodeo is hard work, so you know what? You deserve to enjoy that $600,000. So tell me, why do you think the American Rodeo, why is it such a big deal to everyone that's involved in this industry? Yeah,
it's one of the biggest and fastest, you know, growing sports rodeo events going. And, you know, it's the good thing about it is they invite the top 5 best athletes in the world in their select events. And as well as, you know, anyone can go to all the qualifiers and be able to qualify to compete at this rodeo, to compete against the best. And that's how I won that rodeo that year, is I got to qualify and compete against the best and beat them to win the money. So that's the chances that all these people that are getting to have. And, you know, it could really set up their career.
Yeah, it sounds like it's life-changing almost.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're still connected to it in a way. You're not competing this year. You just had surgery in December. How are you feeling?
I feel great. I'm
Good.
doing way better.
Wonderful, wonderful. But you still wanted to be a part of this. It seems like it's a big part of you now, the American Rodeo. So why is it so important to you? Was it that experience that you had when you were 19, or has it grown since then, your love?
Yeah, that experience that I've had, and I actually, first time I qualified, I was 17 years old, and growing up, you know, me and my dad, we worked at it. You know, this was life-changing event. We could work at, you know, competing for the million to win that, and that's what I did. So it changed my life forever, and I want to go watch because it could also change anyone else's lives forever that it's competing. And that's what it does every year, is it gives anybody a chance to change their lives. And, you know, I'm just going to go and watch and be entertained because it's an awesome stage to go watch.
Yes, yes. Maybe it'll be nice to be able to actually like watch and take everything in. But like you said, you know exactly what that feeling is like. So to watch someone else go through that, I'm sure is humbling, and it just is a wonderful experience. Tell me, who should we be keeping our eye out for this year? Who will be competing?
Hey, you're going to go and you're going to watch the top best athletes in the world. So the qualifiers are about to take place. So all the qualifiers are about to, you know, get their chance to compete. But, you know, they'll let you know what's going on there and let you watch the qualifiers. That's who I want to watch. I want to watch the qualifiers and see them beat the best guys, because they get the chance at that $2.1 million prize. So, you know, I'm going to have goosebumps, you know, just watching for them. I'm going to be nervous for them. So that's the people that I want to go watch.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, we have to know, because you just said you're doing well, you're feeling good. Any outlook on when you could come back to the circuit?
You know, there's a lot of opportunity when I can come back, but I'm planning on June right now. That's kind of prime rodeo season for us. It really kicks off the summer rodeo. So I'm trying to get the best shape I can to be able to come back and make the best, you know, comeback that I can. So I'm thinking mid-June, that should be the comeback for me.
You know, we don't really get to discuss it that much, but what does like a workout or upkeep look like for someone who does rodeo, calf roping specifically?
It's a lot, you know, and a lot of my time spent with my horse, because my horse is my partner.
What's his name?
And I have a special horse. Her name's Lollipop, and I have another horse named Tootsie Pop. So they're actually sisters. So they're partners.
You have a thing for sweets, I see.
Yeah, they're really cool, and they got the Pop name. So, but I spend a lot of time with them because they're athletes as well. So I got to make sure that they're in the top of shape, as well as training myself, that I go out there and compete at my best. So, you know, when the practice spin, we spend a lot of time so that we're always connected. So when we get out there in that arena, that we know each other.
You guys are one at that point.
Yeah,
very good. It is Black History Month. As you know, you're in the sport. You have been in it for a very long time. It's not the most diverse sport. You're representing for a ton of kids who want to be just like you. And so what does it mean to be competing as a black cowboy? Because I think a lot of the times people forget the history, but like there were black cowboys when things were first getting started and established here in America. And so tell me what it's like being that representation.
It means a lot to me, you know, and I'm following my dad's footsteps. In 1985, my dad was the first black cowboy to make the National Finals Rodeo in my event of the tie-down rope. And so that paved a way for me and opened so many doors for me to be able to go out here and compete, and so many other black cowboys to compete. So I'm trying to, you know, fulfill in his footsteps and, you know, create so many more opportunities for black cowboys and black kids to come into rodeo, you know, that says, y'all can do this and anybody's welcome in this sport.
Yes, yes, it is. Okay, let me just say, because there's tons of black rodeo fans. I'm one of them, you know what I mean? So I know there's a ton of children that are like, okay, he's doing this, maybe I can do it too. If people want to learn more about the American Rodeo Championship, the tickets, everything they need to know, where can they go?
They can go to the American Rodeo website, americanrodeo.com, or any of the social, you know, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for the American Rodeo, and it'll help you engage to everything going on and see all the concert lineups. So I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to go out and watch the best.
Very, very good. Well, Shad, thank you so much for being here this morning. Maybe we'll pop around and see you around the American Rodeo. We appreciate you being here this morning.
Hey, thank y'all.
Speaking of cowboys and cowgirls, you know they love their chili, and today is National Chili Day. If you don't know what you're eating for dinner tonight, maybe this is an idea. But we thought, why not celebrate that heaping bowl of goodness? So Paige is live in Crowley, where they've hitched their chuck wagon to celebrate Texas chili at the newly opened Fred's Cafe. Hello, Paige, or howdy.
This place is amazing. Third location, and this is Quincy Wallace. And we're celebrating National Chili Day, which happens to be the state food of Texas.
Hey, how about that?
I'm telling you.
Texas Red.
Texas Red.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Well, congratulations on the opening of this store. And Crowley is such a charming, beautiful community. And behind me, this is not a reproduction. This is the real deal, a real chuck wagon. Tell me about this fantastic big taxi. In fact, it's the national vehicle of Texas.
Well, this right there is the original food truck.
Yeah.
This fed cowboys on ranches and on the trail. Charles Goodnight made it famous. This one made me famous.
It sure did. It's beautiful, and when this was really going to be the cowboys that were out on the range, whether they were on a large range in Texas or they were herding cattle from one state to another, the chuck wagon and the cook that was on this chuck wagon was pivotal to the success.
That's how people have to eat every single day, at least twice a day, maybe more. But yeah, this is how they were fed from the original chuck wagon came from Texas to Kansas to ship cattle to market.
All right, well, let's go.
So let's wander around.
Let's wander
That's
around.
a water barrel. This is what they drank out of. This is where we kept water. Get it out of the river. Put it in there. Feed your hand.
All right,
Or
okay, also come over here. I want to talk to people too about this because this chuck wagon, it actually came from Missouri, right?
came from Missouri, sold by the Schaffner Mercantile in Bolivar, Missouri. That's original paint from the 1800s.
That is amazing. Okay, we're going to have to step over here real
Okay.
quick. Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about chili itself. Also, look here, we got a big old bowl of some fresh looking chili.
That's Texas Red right there.
Texas Red, and can you please just give us an
Let's do
idea about the beans, no beans? What's the truth about Texas chili?
All right, thanks so much, Paige. We're having a couple of technical difficulties, but no worries. That means you can still have a ton of chili tonight for your dinner, but we're gonna pop back here in studio so we can keep moving.
Don't know. They're saying that they don't hear your mic.
Every father deserves the words to say, and every generation needs men who are willing to guide the next. Those are powerful words from our next guest. Author, singer, and entrepreneur Caleb S. Mitchell is here to take us into the pages of his new book, Someday You'll Be a Man. Good morning.
Good morning, Aaron. How are you?
I am so good. Glad to have you here. Let's talk about this book because it is written as intimate conversations between a father and his son. So tell me, what sparked the decision to write this book, especially because it's so deep and so personal?
So there was one particular event that I won't directly mention, but it's a series of events that happen in our nation, in our world, in our culture that spark these type of conversations. You know, fathers of my generation, their work was their language, but for us, I think I wanted to be one of those guys who used the words. Now, the crazy thing is I wrote the book as being one of those parents who did not necessarily fulfill those roles. So this is more testimonial so that fathers will not follow in some of the same footsteps and not have those conversations with their sons.
Let them know what you went through so they know what's ahead. They usually say there's no book to parenting, but look, you fill that niche a little bit. And it feels both tender but also urgent. And I think that has to do with the fact of who you are and how you move throughout the world as a black man. And so was there a specific moment in your life where you realized, okay, I need to put this on paper. Someone else will benefit from this?
Well, so my therapist always talks about the little boy inside of you and letting him out unashamed, just naked, if you will, so that the world can see the authentic you. And so my own personal experiences, I shared those, as well as conversations with my own son and the men and the sons and the mentees that I've had in my life. I feel they deserve the words and they deserve to know that they are powerful, they are seen. And this country does not always respect us or reflect us. So we have to have this opportunity, and we have to have someone that's going to say, hey, I see you. And you are important and you mean something to this world.
You know, I'm so glad that you said that. They don't respect us or reflect us, because when we look out, we don't see people who look like us, who are taking up space, who are taking up those positions. And don't get me wrong, we're growing, but there's still plenty of work to do. So a book like this, Raising Up the Next Generation, is so helpful. And you define aspects of boyhood within the book. And so how does that offer guidance to many fathers who wish they had received that, like you said, themselves?
You know, so like I said, like me being one of those fathers who didn't always have those conversations then, and some of them I had later with my son, and are still evolving to have some of those conversations. it looks like us saying it, us saying the words, not just our actions. It's not about just showing up. It's about having voice as well as presence and speaking to the little boy inside of all of us. Every black man has a little boy inside of him. And sometimes you have to testify of the greatness and well as the challenges that you had growing up in this thing that we call America.
It's funny because it's almost like you're healing yourself while also protecting your son from the things that you went through. Okay, I see where you're going. Now, you talk about giving boys an invisible armor. What does that look like in everyday life, and how do you prepare them?
It looks like honor. It looks like resilience. It looks like identity, and which are all things that we struggle with. And we have to champion those things. We have to let a little boy know that it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel. It's okay to express those feelings. It's okay to say that, you know, I'm not okay. And as a father, we have to encourage that in our sons and in our children. And even if you don't have a father, those coaches and those mentors are there to speak life into you and say, like I said, we see you. And not only do I see you, but I'm going to help you be seen by other people.
Yes, that is so true because it is carried into adulthood. There are so many grown men, grown black men, or of all races, but specifically we're focusing on this, who can't express their feelings because it's been pushed down so far for so long that you just can't even force it to come up out of them. And so I'm glad that you said that. The book doesn't just speak to sons, though. It calls fathers and mentors to step up. What does showing up, what does that look like?
It looks like faith-based communities speaking about boys and not ignoring real-life issues. It's about education speaking about the resiliency and the challenges that we face in this culture and climate. It's about community embracing young boys and helping them become what God has called them to be and pulling out of them what they don't even realize what they have in them. And it's also us taking off our Superman capes and saying that I'm Clark Kent sometimes too. And I feel and I hurt and I cry and I don't get it right all the time. But it's okay, because your not getting it right will be the roadmap and the blueprint for someone to ask for someone else to get it right.
Yes, okay. You guys, he's giving such wisdom this morning, but I do want to talk about what is happening around the Christmas time really quickly. Coco Chris, tell us about it.
So Coco Chris evolved. It's like I was naturally born into it with this beard. So when I left the military, some friends of mine would say, hey, would you mind playing Santa for me?
Yeah.
And I did it for a couple of friends.
You're the
Christmas
perfect
time.
Santa. I mean, perfect. The beard is there and everything.
Well, what can I say?
What can I say? Tell me where we can get our hands on the book.
At Amazon, it's on Kindle. It's coming to Barnes & Nobles soon. If you follow me on Instagram at Caleb S. Mitchell 1. You can find everything about me for everything I have going on in the world.
Very, very good. Well, you guys, don't worry, because we're talking all things Black History Month. We talked about his book, but I did say that Caleb can sing. So he's going to be singing for us here soon, so make sure you stick around for that. You're going to be singing the National Black Anthem, yes?
I am.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we'll get to that here in just a second. But first, coming up on today's show, a Texas filmmaker joins us to share more about her movie, NOSEEUMS, where a group of college students find themselves in a fight for their survival. And they went from meeting to married in the same year. Wait until you hear the blinged out love story behind this powerhouse couple. GMT is back in just 2 minutes. They met in New York and were engaged and married within all the same year, and all on the 23rd. Since then, Charles and Joanne Teichman's whirlwind romance has grown into a lasting marriage and a sparkling jewelry legacy. And today they join me to share their love story and how they continue to make their love work after more than 40 years. Good morning.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, so glad to have you here. So Joanne, I would love if you could take us back to New York. How did the two of you first meet, and how did the romance start to unfold?
Charles,
and quickly at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Charles received a mysterious invitation to an event that he had no idea who had asked him or what it was. And when he got there, he started questioning, and they all said, you need to go see the chair of the event. I was the chair of the event. So he comes over, and you know the line, you had me at hello? That was it. I locked eyes, and that was it. There was this cute guy, brown hair, curly hair, brown
Cute
curly
guy.
hair, brown
That's
eyes.
a long time ago,
I mean,
obviously.
Really.
Obviously.
And that was really it.
Wow.
And I said, a bunch of us are having dinner after, can you join us? And he said, just a minute. And he went to break his date, and I grabbed my best friend and I said, there would be a bunch of us, so you need to
Now
go."
you have to come.
So we had dinner, and that was it. And he walked me home cross town, which took maybe 45 minutes, and that was it.
Wow. So it really was love
That was
at
March
first sight.
23rd.
Wow. Okay. But I love your bravery. I think that's like a lot of women, we could learn from that. Like, listen, do you want to just go get dinner or what? But the fact that you had the bravery to do that and you didn't wait on him.
I didn't say dinner just with me. I said, a bunch of us. And then I had to find him. Yes.
Hey, you still invited him. That's
Yes.
the point. You wanted to keep the
Yes.
conversation going. Charles, when you think back to that first year, was there a specific moment when you knew, okay, I'm going to marry this woman?
Very quickly. I mean, keep in mind, I proposed a month to the day after we met.
So April 23rd.
April 23rd,
Oh,
I
you knew.
proposed. Yeah, I knew very quickly. I mean, like, 3 weeks. And, it's like we had so much in common the way we, we grew up, even though it was a world apart.
Yeah.
But, we had a lot in common, same values, same origins in a way, and it was easy.
Yes.
It was totally easy.
Yes, we did get to see that brown curly hair, I might add.
Yeah, that
But
was a long time ago.
You just talked about how you guys came from two different worlds. You were born in Arkansas,
Yes.
and then you immigrated from France. And so tell me the difference in your upbringings. How did that shape the way you approach love? Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Our parents were both both sets of parents were Holocaust survivors. We had a lot of common history, and that made things very easy. We grew up with parents where you had to know what you were going to do. There was no hesitation. You work, you go to school, you do the best, you work, you do that, and it was easy. So same values, same ideas on a lot of things, and it went on, period.
Oh, my goodness. Well, like we said earlier, I mean, this is happening quickly.
Very quickly.
And you didn't just get married. You also decided, let's build a business side by side. So was there any hesitation, or was the confidence fleeting when you were like, okay, we're going to build a business together?
Actually, Charles was building the business.
That was a few years later, Erin.
A few years
it was
later.
not right away.
Right, not right away, but elong, and brought the concept to Dallas. And I was in the advertising world getting very burned out, and we had just moved to Dallas, and one day I came home and I said, I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I want to open the store with you. And Charles went into shock because I had the salary from the advertising industry, and he said, okay, if that's what you want to do. And so we just both started.
Oh my goodness, so you really took a chance. You took a leap and said, okay, I'm leaving the corporate world.
We both took a leap.
We both took a leap.
She was a breadwinner.
Yes, okay. But that's almost a dynamic that is hard. And so the fact that you guys were able to get through that as well, I mean,
We
you guys
did.
have jumped
Right.
a lot of hurdles. And so now everybody knows Elong 23 has now been here for more than 41
40 years, yes.
41
Almost
years
41.
now. I mean, you guys were early in e-commerce, setting the standard there, designing jewelry. And so how much of that bold and forward thinking came from both of you? I'm assuming it is coming from both minds.
It's a combination, It's Joanne is a creative, has always been the creative. It's her background. And then I was more on the number side, the accounting side, and she has such an easy way, going to people and engaging. Yeah. I'm more reserved, and it worked perfectly. It was an
actually
ideal combination.
Back in the day when we didn't have buyers or a full staff.
Yeah.
Charles really had an eye for the jewelry, so we would go and we would just start putting things on trays until we looked at the tray and said, "Okay, that looks good," and that was it. But he really was hand in hand with me on everything. There wasn't anything done that I didn't ask for his opinion of, and I still do. I mean, even when I make some sort of a decision on a creative piece.
Oh my goodness, it sounds like you guys have true partnership, and it's
We do.
grown
We do.
in your marriage,
We
but
do.
also in your business and also in your children, Jake and Elisa. Elisa is now heading up. I mean, she has wildlife
Yes.
on her own, but also helping out with Elong 23. What does it mean to pass it on to your kids?
That's a dream. You know what? It's a dream come true. Everybody at some point would love to work with their kids. It's not always easy. It's not always possible. Elisa made it easy and possible.
I'm working for her now.
You know, we're both working for her now. She's my boss. I'm reporting to her.
It's
Very
wonderful.
good. It has evolved
wonderful.
just perfectly.
Yes.
Perfectly.
Congratulations to
Thank
you both
you.
on everything. My gosh. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your love story with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Of course. All right, you guys, still ahead on today's show. Get ready for an explosive and action-packed season 3 of The Night Agent. Coming up, we talk to the star of the show. Greg, let's talk about it. Spring-like temperatures outside.
Yeah, definitely feeling like spring out there. A little fog we're still dealing with out there this morning as well, but we'll take one more look at your forecast when GMT continues after this.
Live, this is Good Morning Texas.
I like to think that the weekend starts on Thursday. I mean, technically you have to go to work tomorrow, but you're right, they're so close.
We're close. We're
and it's
getting
going to be good weather.
Yeah, it's going to be very warm weather out there for us here as we get into the weekend. This morning, though, still dealing with that fog out there to take you out to DFW. Now, you notice the delays, 45 minutes out there. I don't think that's weather related, though. They do have some equipment outages of some kind out there at the airport. So there is a ground stop out at the airport out at DFW right now. And you see those delays up to 45 minutes. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. 59 degrees. You can see the fog hanging over. It looks a little bit better heading over to Love Field, back up to 62. So the fog won't be sticking around a whole lot longer, but we're still looking at that visibility that's down under a mile in some locations, heading over to Fort Worth here. And as we look down I-35 as well, still looking at some fog, but it's starting to break up a little bit. Hillsboro, the visibility has improved back up to almost a mile and a half there. So we'll continue to watch this for another hour or so, but as we go through the rest of this morning and certainly by the afternoon, the sunshine will be taking over. Already starting to see a few breaks in the clouds from downtown Dallas, in fact, and it will be warm. Despite the north winds today, we're still going to be up around 81 or so for that high we're forecasting here for today. Now, as we get into next week, though, things get a little more unsettled. Rain and thunderstorms back in the forecast just about every day next week. Right now, we're putting the best chance on Wednesday, but we will be tweaking these rain chances as we head on into next week. So just keep that in mind. So we are going to get an overall shift in our weather pattern. We'll have some rain chances, it looks like, through most of next week as we look at that 14-day forecast. A little cooler, perhaps, as well as we start off next week, too, in the upper 60s for those highs. We'll be around 70 through the middle of the week with that rain and thunderstorm chance continuing. It looks like Thursday probably on into Friday as well, so we'll continue to update the forecast in the days to come, and you see those temperatures staying on the warmer side too. All right, Aaron, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Greg. Season 3 of the hit Netflix thriller The Night Agent is turning up the action once again, and our GMT correspondent Brittany sat down with the show's star Gabriel Basso to talk about the new twists this season and what fans can expect from the high-stakes drama. Take a look.
How does this mission that you're on, that Peter Sutherland is on in this season, raise the stakes compared to the past seasons? Like, what can fans expect in terms of that intensity and that action?
Yeah, I think this season especially, he's allowed to be proficient. You know, I think season 2, it was, season 1, he was good at being an FBI agent, but he wasn't a night agent. And then season 2, I think they were sort of still trying to make him feel like out of his depth a little bit. And then season 3, I think they finally cut him loose a bit, and I'm allowed to sort of do well at my job.
This normal for you?
Yeah.
Great.
How do you think people can tie to Peter emotionally this season and see another side of him now that it's just him and he doesn't have Rose?
Yeah, I think ultimately, he was alone before he decided to save Rose. So that, like, anti-authority-esque, this is the right thing to do, I'm going to do it, is what motivated him to drive to her house and save her to begin with. So I think she is very important to him, and she is still very important to him. Just like Chelsea, left season 2 and came back in season 3, like, Rose is not done in Peter's life. And so I think, it's he's struggling, I think, but in a way, I think it's better for him to not have, at least in this season, with what he was going through, to have someone to worry about that is close to him.
Yeah, that makes sense. And with the action that's in season 3,
I'm glad it made sense.
yes, it makes sense because, Rose was always a little timid with all the action and everything that was going on with these missions. And so this season, it ramps up a bit. I do want to ask, I know fans can kind of see a peek of it in the trailer, but you had a lot of action-packed scenes that you had to tape. One of my favorite that I also saw in the trailer was fighting underwater and trying not to drown. How was it shooting that scene? I'm sure that was intense in itself.
Yeah, it was very intense. We were drowning each other. They'd lower the truck. It was interesting. We had to get to certain points of the choreography in conjunction with the water rising. And so that presented its own, unique challenges. Sometimes we'd get through the whole take and it wouldn't have worked. And sometimes the truck would sink too fast and it wouldn't work. So yeah, it's intense, and they'd sink it. So we were having to breathe and breath hold and do all that stuff. And it was, your eyes burned more than anything from opening your eyes. And it was sort of a brackish water that they brought in from the ocean, sort of mixing with the fresh water and stuff. So it burned your eyes, but
well, you did it flawlessly.
It is what it is.
You can watch season 3 of The Night Agent now on Netflix. Still ahead on GMT, celebrating Black History Month in song. Kayla Bess Mitchell takes the GMT stage in a performance you don't want to miss. We'll be right back.
But this girl is loaded. I'm talking old money.
You think they ever owned any?
Don't start.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hey, you there?
Let me call you back.
It's a powerful new Southern Gothic horror that's making major moves. One Texas filmmaker makes her feature directorial debut with NOSEEUMS, a chilling story that blends supernatural terror with real historical truths about land and legacy and identity. Meet Raven DeShay Carter, co-writer and director of NOSEEUMS. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Hi.
So glad to have you here this morning. So tell me, because you guys, this is her first feature and it has landed on major streaming platforms. What was going through your mind when you found out, okay, this is going to Apple TV+, this is going to Prime Video?
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an honor. I'm just super grateful. Yeah, I just feel great. I know that a lot of people don't get their films to that part of the game. So overall, I'm just really, really grateful. And I have an amazing team who fought for this film and pushed it all the way to streaming, so shout out to them too.
Yes, and you're so young doing this, and so it's for it to happen so soon. I know you feel incredibly blessed, but what inspired you originally to be a filmmaker? I know Texas is full of the arts in general, but what led you to it?
Yeah, so as a kid, I would do talent shows and things. I was not at all good, but I had such a great music teacher named Miss Gideon, and she kind of just encouraged me to be a light. Transitioned to middle school, high school, played a bunch of sports, which I'm grateful for, and I feel like that kind of set me up for that team mentality going into films, because everything is so collaborative. And then I studied exercise in college, but had this heart for arts. So I decided to apply to film school during COVID when I was at home just thinking, and I did it. And I got into FSU Film, Florida State University, went there, and the rest is history.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so let's talk about this film right here, because it tackles themes of ancestral land, generational trauma, racial injustice through a horror lens at that. And so take us through the process. How did you come up with this?
Yeah, so my friend Jason Michael Anthony, he came up with the story, and he came to me. He was in the writers program at FSU Film. He came to me with the idea. I loved it. I had already done some horror, thriller, sci-fi, Black films, and Jason was like, I think this would be great. You should consider directing. And I was like, I would love to. But he came up with the idea on a beach surrounded by NOSEEUMS and hearing the locals at this beach talk about how stubborn they were, how annoying they were, and how people would actually vacate the land because of them. So he kind of juxtaposed it to white flight and how white people would vacate the land that black people would try to occupy. So that's how this story turned into what it is.
And I'm assuming that's where the name comes from. It plays on we can't see. So what does that symbolize? Is that the symbolization in the context of the movie?
Yeah, so when you think about where we are in America, you know, our apartments, our homes, even this news station, there's always some type of ancestral history like underneath the ground. So it just comes from like this concept of there's so many people around that have passed on that we can't see, but their lineage still goes on.
Yes, they're still living today, just in a different way. You mentioned feeling connected to the character Ember. And so tell me, because I think a lot of black girls can relate to her journey of, okay, I have this group of friends who I'm just black enough to be here, but I'm not black enough to be over here. And it's a hard space to find ourselves. And I think a lot of black women do. And so tell me, is Ember's journey reflective of your own? How did you begin to write her story out?
Yeah, so I grew up in a predominantly white town, but I don't think it's that way anymore. But that did influence a lot of my art. I didn't know that I would want to make like racial type movies, especially inspired by like Get Out and Jordan Peele. But naturally, my art just reflected that. So I definitely identify with Ember in that sense. But also this like being disconnected from your ancestral lineage and being able to like source, you know, who was my great grandfather? Where did he grow up? What was he like? It's hard when those stories are lost, and for a lot of black people, those stories are lost.
Yes,
so, yeah.
yes, and it's hard to identify where exactly we come from, why we are the way we are, and it's because all of that history has been lost. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because if we're being real, some of it is being lost even today, you know? And so we have to have these conversations. We have to continue pushing the knowledge forward so that it's not lost on the next generation after us. And you are doing just that. So thank you so much for making your impact on the culture. We are so grateful that you came here also to talk about it with us. And like we said, Apple TV, Prime Video, that is where you can find it. Raven, thank you so much again for being here this morning.
Thank you.
All right, don't forget, you guys, you can see it on literally a list right here, a full list of digital streaming platforms right there on your screen. And remember to support our local filmmakers. Dallas is very much an arts community. We'll be right back. If you were with us a bit earlier, you know live TV, it is a doozy, but we have got Paige back. She is in Crowley, where they've hitched their chuck wagon to celebrate Texas chili at the newly opened Fred's Cafe. Take a look.
Real deal, this is Quincy Wallace. He's going to be telling
everybody.
us all about it. Quincy, come over here. Let's
Yes,
get a little
ma'am.
closer to this beautiful, beautiful machine. This is also the original food truck, and it's the state vehicle of Texas. There are a lot of roots to the chuck wagon in Texas.
Yeah, that's how you fed cowboys on ranches and up on the trail when we drove cows to market in Kansas.
That is so important. The cook was very, very critical to the whole operation. Without the cooks, you had some hungry cowboys, and that's just never a good idea.
Well, they're already skinny from working their tails off, but we got to eat all day long, at least once a day.
At least once a
The
day.
cowboy had to get fed, and this is what fed him. Like you said, the original food truck.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about the food truck itself, because check this out. You got this from Missouri.
That came from Bolivar, Missouri, back in the 1800s. That's the original paint on this thing.
Wow. And it is beautiful. But it also, I mean, you can see the authenticity behind it. All of these different areas were perfectly curated to hold essential tools. And the cook was often had the reputation of being a little grumpy. And who wouldn't be? He was standing behind a hot stove, hot fire pits, trying to get some victuals together for the cowboys, and they were grumpy as well.
First up, last to bed, you're going to be angry.
Who wouldn't be angry? Well, we're also celebrating that this is National Chili Day. Chili is the state food of Texas. I had no idea. And Fred's Texas Cafe, you do a lot of good chili.
We've been doing chili a minute. We've been around a while, and we're doing Texas Red for you today.
This is the third location, new location here in Crowley. This building, the bar of this building, has a lot of historical roots right here in Crowley. Tell me more.
It's the very first building ever built in Crowley. This building now, the brick building, has replaced the first structure that was wooden. But yes, was a community area and meeting place for the whole time Crowley's been around, even before Crowley was a city of its own.
It was a general store, it was a post office, and now it's a great place for people to come and get some good burgers. Fred's is known for their burgers, and boy, you certainly don't disappoint. But you're also today, we're celebrating chili, and you're known for your chili. Can you please solve a debate for us, beans or no beans?
Well, Texas red is meat in red gravy, so no beans.
No beans, you heard it here
None.
first, people. Why don't you put it?
So let's give you some of this Texas red. This is our delicious Texas red, and it's just ground up brisket and spices.
Ooh, we will put me some Fritos on that
And then
too.
We've got Fritos. Do you like cheese?
I love cheese.
Do you like onions?
No, you can hold the onions and you can
You
hold
like
the
jalapenos?
No, you can hold the jalapenos
Okay,
too.
let's get you some.
No onions.
Let's get you some cheese.
Okay, I'll take that.
And that's how it comes at Fred's.
But I need a spoon.
We have you a handmade spoon here.
Oh, check it out. You know,
Our
Fred.
buddy Bulldog made those 100 years ago.
And you-
Well, not really, but it's been a minute.
And you kind of grew up at Fred's. This has been your stomping grounds for a long, long time. And there's something about Fred's. As a Fort Worthian, I know about Fred's, and I'm just tickled pink for you. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I'm not lying. I am not lying. This is some dadgum good chili.
All right. Well, I have to say, you guys, I'm a beans gal. I need beans in my chili. But we're moving on as we continue to celebrate Black History Month. Singer, author, and entrepreneur Caleb S. Mitchell, who you met just a little bit ago, he joins us once again to perform Lift Every Voice and Sing, also known as the Black National Anthem. Take it away, Caleb. What a show.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who has brought us thus far on our way, Thou who hast by Thy might led us into the light, us forever in thy path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, my God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Thou who hast by thy mind led us into the light, keep us forever in thy.
Such a fun show today. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Have a good morning, Texas. See you later.